Welcome to the Maryland Means Business Podcast. Cal here, and Chessie's about to disagree with me before we even get through the rundown. I can feel it.
Only because you read the rundown like you're announcing a flight departure, Cal. But sure, I'll behave. We've got 3 stories today, and for once they actually share a thread.
A thread? Since when do we plan those?
Since today. Every story is Maryland deciding it doesn't need to wait on somebody else to solve its own problem. A college builds its own factory floor, the state hires its own hackers, and a biotech company bets on Rockville instead of building somewhere cheaper. Homegrown, top to bottom.
I like that a lot more than I expected to. Quick note before we start. For anyone near Glen Burnie, Third Eye Comics opens store number 9 tomorrow, the 25th, out on Crane Highway. We talked about this one a couple episodes back.
I called that one early, for the record. I'm not going to make a whole bit out of it, but I called it.
Noted and logged. Let's start with a story that made me want to go back to community college myself.
This one's genuinely great. Montgomery College just opened what's being called the first community college-based advanced manufacturing facility in the entire country. Not the state, not the region, the country.
It's at the Germantown campus through a program called PIC-MC, the Pinckney Innovation Complex for Science and Technology. And the industry partner isn't some vague council. It's Hughes Network Systems, the satellite company. Nearly 1,500 employees across 2 Montgomery County locations.
So, students train hands-on next to actual Hughes engineers, building the talent pipeline for satellite communications manufacturing. That's not a classroom simulation, Cal. That's the real production floor. And for any parent whose kid just got a community college acceptance letter and felt like it was a consolation prize, this is Exhibit A for why that feeling is wrong. This is where actual jobs are being built right now.
Here's the number that got me. 1/3 of Montgomery County adults over 25 already hold advanced degrees. This isn't a county short on brainpower. It's a county that figured out brainpower alone doesn't build hardware. You need hands trained on the actual machines, too.
Quick translation for anyone who heard advanced manufacturing and pictured a dusty assembly line. We're talking about precision electronics, satellite hardware, the kind of manufacturing where a single machine can cost more than the building it sits in.
Right, and that matters because those are also jobs that pay well without requiring a 4-year degree. This is a genuine on-ramp, not just a nice partnership announcement for a press release.
Tommy Luganbill, who runs PICMC, said it well. Quote, "Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. We're helping create the workforce and partnerships that will drive Maryland's innovation economy for years to come." And Jared Smith, over at MCEDC, said the quiet part loud. Quote, "In the world we live in today, the number one concern of any company is, can you give me the workforce I need?"
That's the real headline underneath the headline. Companies don't leave Maryland over taxes or weather nearly as often as people assume. If they leave, it's usually because they can't staff the building. This is Montgomery County closing that door before it even opens.
Hot take time?
Go for it.
Every county in this state should be stealing this playbook by next semester. If your community college isn't partnered with your biggest local employer, you are already behind. Full stop.
Agreed. And this isn't even the first proof of concept. BioHub Maryland has already trained over 300 people through a similar model. This is just the biggest version yet.
And here's the part for the small business owners listening who think this only applies to giant satellite companies. It doesn't. Any owner in a skilled trade, HVAC, machining, food production, can walk into their local community college and pitch the same idea at a smaller scale.
That's a genuinely good point. You don't need Hughes Network Systems payroll to make that pitch. You need a willingness to show up and train people. Nobody in this state should feel like they have to leave their own county to build a real career. And honestly, that's the whole point of a story like this one.
All right, next up is the story that made me laugh out loud when I read it, because Maryland is now legally paying strangers on the internet to try to break into state government websites.
On purpose?
On purpose. It's called the Vulnerability Disclosure Program, run by the Department of Information Technology, with a company called BugCrowd refereeing the whole thing.
Since it launched last October, researchers have found and fixed over 200 vulnerabilities, 200 cracks in the system, patched before anyone with worse intentions ever found them.
Translate that one too, because Vulnerability Disclosure Program sounds like something out of a spy movie. In plain terms, the state put up a standing invitation that says, if you find a hole in our security, tell us instead of exploiting it, and we'll thank you instead of chasing you down.
Which used to be a legal gray area for a lot of well-meaning researchers. Now it's an open door with rules and a scoreboard attached.
And it's not one guy in a hoodie. More than 190 different researchers have submitted reports. BugCloud grades the severity 1 through 4, and the state ran a live bug bounty event back in May with a dozen researchers competing. Another one's planned for September.
Stephen Kane, who leads the program for DOIT, put it plainly, quote, "We're embracing the security researcher community to really do the heavy lifting, and it's a huge benefit to taxpayers. That's the part I want owners sitting with. The state is getting professional-grade security testing without a professional-grade security budget."
Here's my take, and it's a little spicy. This should embarrass every private company still hiding behind "we've never been hacked," as if that means we're secure. The state just admitted publicly that the smart move is inviting the attack before somebody hostile hands it to you the hard way.
Careful, some business owner listening right now is already Googling how to hire a hacker.
Good. Maryland had over 30,000 cybersecurity job openings as the last count. If this show pushes one more owner toward a bug bounty line item, I've done my job for the week.
And for the owner who can't afford a state-sized security budget, the lesson still scales down. There are freelance security researchers and smaller testing services built for exactly this, sized for a single business website instead of an entire state government.
Cheaper than the cleanup after somebody else finds the hole first. And worth saying plainly, this isn't a story about Maryland being weak on security. Every organization has vulnerabilities. The real difference is whether you go looking for them first.
All right, last story. And this one's got the number of the day, so settle in.
Oh, we're doing this again.
We're doing this again. Bora Pharmaceuticals, a Taiwan-based drug manufacturer, just closed a $122.5 million deal to take over Macrogenics Biologics manufacturing operation in Rockville.
Hang on, that's Chessie's rule. I call dibs on the big number.
You call dibs on saving it for last, not on being the one who says it. I get to say it. You get to react to it.
Fine. $122.5 million is a lot of trust to put in one Rockville address.
Quick translation here too, since we throw this term around a lot in these stories. CDMO stands for Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization, a company that makes drugs on behalf of other companies who don't want to build and run their own factory.
So Bora isn't inventing a new drug. They're the ones making sure whatever gets invented can actually be produced at scale, safely and on schedule. And this isn't an isolated bet either. Montgomery County's been stacking up biotech and life sciences wins for a while now. This is just the loudest one this month.
And it's not just money moving around on paper. This is a real, FDA-approved facility, cleared for both clinical and commercial stage biologics production. And Bora kept all 140 existing employees on staff, with more hiring planned.
Secretary of State Susan Lee, Commerce Secretary Harry Coker Jr., and County Executive Mark Elrich all showed up for the launch, which tells you this wasn't a quiet handshake deal. This was Maryland showing up to say, "We see you."
Coker's quote is the one that stuck with me. Quote, "Companies like Bora Pharmaceuticals are what makes Maryland a global leader in the life sciences. And I don't think that's just a ribbon-cutting line. Rockville and the I-270 corridor keep landing these deals because the infrastructure and the talent are already sitting there waiting."
My hot take on this one? A foreign company choosing to expand into Maryland instead of building fresh somewhere cheaper should be the exact story every county executive in the state points to next time someone questions whether Maryland's worth the investment.
No notes, Chessie. I'm fully on board with that one. 3 for 3 today. A college teaching its own workforce, a state hiring its own hackers, and a biotech company betting big on its own backyard.
Before we go, 2 quick things. 1, our sponsor. This episode's brought to you by Maryland Smart Energy. Smarter buildings, smarter bills.
They help Maryland businesses cut energy costs through utility-funded programs. Nothing out of pocket. Right now, through September, that includes HVAC tune-ups at no out-of-pocket cost, fully funded by Empower Maryland. If your building's been fighting the heat this summer, that's worth a call before the season's out.
And here's the honest version of that pitch. You're already paying for this. There's a line on every Maryland utility bill funding Empower Maryland programs. Maryland Smart Energy just helps you actually use what you're already paying for. Find them at mdsmartenergy.com.
One more thing while we're being transparent. This show is made almost entirely with AI, and we pick tools built by companies that cover their own energy and water costs, instead of pushing them onto Maryland households and small businesses. Same idea as our sponsor. Keep the costs where they belong.
Every fact in today's episode is sourced and linked in the show notes, so you can go check our work. And if today's 3 stories feel less like separate headlines and more like a blueprint other states should be copying, that's this show summed up in one sentence.
That's the show. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and now YouTube if you'd rather watch us bigger than just hear it.
Head to marylandmeans.business for the newsletter, so all this lands in your inbox too. Until next time, and remember, Maryland means business.